A gray-haired army general walks into a hotel bar and sits down next to a young, attractive woman. It took some time for me to get this joke. He can make his privates accomplish the task flawlessly. As always, the march of time is ruining the joke. If he was old enough to have sex in 1950, he's at least 85 now, and even that's pushing at age 12. For updating, obviously the 80s and 90s are out, and nobody says 2005, so maybe 2010. Enough people say 2010 that it should work. Hilarious. Definitely worth saving this joke. This is so cleverly funny. When was last time you had sex? At approximately 1900 hours, sir. Take my upvote? Nice one. I thought it was years initially, but recognized it was UTC in the punchline. The military takes their own. Wow. An army time joke. All milk is breast milk. I have breasts, you cheese puzzle, can you milk me? What about almond, cashew and soy? No breasts on those. Breasts refer specifically to mammary glands on primates and elephants. Weirdly enough, on ruminants such as cows and goats, they are called udders, and on dogs and cats they are called dugs. Platypus don't have breasts or nipples. That's utterly preposterous. Except daddy's milk. Show me a picture of an almond with tits and I will jack off to it. Until then, what you try to say is simply not true. Can you milk a coconut, Bob? Let me introduce you to the platypus. People ITT. I define milk as the substance that comes out of mammals' breasts, therefore all milk is breast milk. Not much of a leap there, now is it? But not all breasts are boobies. Do almonds have nipples, Greg? During a recent password audit it was discovered that someone was using the following password. I work in IT and I can easily see someone doing this. I just shake my head. Gotta add dopey because you need at least one special character. I tried using Dwayne Johnson as my password, but it needed to have 8 characters so it was 7 short. It will never be figured out since they misspelled Mickey. Smart. They are missing a symbol. Maybe the auditor should focus instead on the fact they're storing plain text passwords. That's actually very secure. Raffle cute. This joke annoys only because I fall for it every time. Definitely doppy. I get so mad at stupid password requirements. I just made mine 12 is fucking stupid. Even if we only needed 2 hours of sleep, we just end up working 16 hours a day. It's not our biological need to sleep that got us weekends and 8-hour days. It's the socialists and unions of the early 20th century who fought for workers' rights. They traded their blood and lives to grant us our 40-hour weeks. Not if you're freelance in certain fields. I'm pretty fast in mine, and I can work as little as 2-3 hours a day, 5 days a week, and make a little more than I did at my last company job. I usually sleep 8-10 hours a day and spend the rest cooking, cleaning, going for walks, and fishing. People already do that now. Go to a hospital and you'll find it common. Or go to any places that require 24-hour services that are running a skeleton crew. The rich capitalist owners will do anything to make themselves a little richer. How come Gen Z, millennials and boomers receive a lot of attention and criticism but you never hear people have any gripes with Gen X? Because if we're on the older side we are those boomers, if we're on the younger we are those millennials. Gen X is called Gen X because they are a lost generation who are not given any attention by anyone. That's quite literally their defining trait. Why did that happen? Complex question. The first rule of Gen X is, stop drawing attention to Generation X. This Gen Xer started typing up something in response to this question, but then was like, whatever, and deleted it. I may have unintentionally answered your question, because when life handed us lemons, we invented grunge music and being comfortable with being different. We grew up knowing we're on our own. Just don't burn the house down. I told my wife, did you know Old MacDonald's farm has been taken over by ChatGPT? Old MC Donald had enough. The boss there is a kill. I hope you use Chat to take the blame for this joke. I don't get it. Our angry upvote. Wow, a new entry into the catalog. I hereby dub this one 8845. And that means I shall expect to see it as a repost within the next 3-5 business days. It's crazy how much of the technology we use is owned by Google. You're going to get people arguing on this one because they don't know what Google owns. It's like arguing with people that think they don't use anything that comes from China. Most people know Google as their search engine and phones. Other than programmers, most people have absolutely no idea about all their cloud services, apps, BigQuery, analytical tools, etc. I use a ton of Google products every day, posting this from a pixel in fact, but I find their products extremely useful, so I don't really care tbh. Everyone with an iPhone is using Google. iCloud is on AWS and Google Cloud. Your photos, contacts and all the other stuff that iPhone syncs. Maybe not exclusively, but the data is on Google servers. It's crazy that people don't already know this. This didn't just happen overnight. People singing happy birthday to you feels like a real-life unskippable ad. You've made the happy birthday fandom absolutely furious. This is why some people don't subscribe to friendships. My brother and I have the same birthday, but a year apart. Singing happy birthday to me was forbidden. Look, singing happy birthday is pretty cringe too, but people endure it because they care for you enough to do it. Just hope there wouldn't come a time you wish there would be someone care enough to sing you happy birthday. All real-life events are unskippable. When have you ever skipped a real-life event like you have an answer to that question up you need a neurologist. I like it. It makes me feel loved. Real-life skip ad exists, it's called free will. Don't be a jerk. Appreciate that they're doing something nice for you. Always way too goddamn slowly, too. Till Teller of Penn Teller, known for being completely silent on stage, was once a high school language teacher. When I heard him talk it was like they spoiled their greatest magic trick. I'm not sure when he stopped, but for quite some time he wouldn't speak on camera at all. I may be 15 years a special about Houdini. Teller is a big collector of Houdini memorabilia, and he was one of the people interviewed for it. But they never showed his face. Every clip of them speaking, he was filmed in shadows like they do for witnesses who want their identities protected. I read that he took on the silent thing when they did shows for frat parties and they found it was harder for the crowd to mock him if he didn't talk. He talks, folks. I said hi to him going on stage during a show in the 90s. He said hi back. I was legit surprised. I shouldn't have been, but I was a dumb teenager. Till, once commonly known as the redwood of the East, American chestnut trees are almost entirely extinct in the wild as of the 1940s with the exception of small, scattered populations. After 2 generations of work, scientists have finally come up with a blight-resistant variety of the American chestnut, and new plantings are underway. TLDR, they're nearly wiped out by a fungus from Asia. People are now trying to breed or GMO-resistant trees. When I learned about how some have survived in the secrecy of some of the locations, I was quite S1 in my area, except it had clearly been chopped before and the shoots grew back up. It has produced chestnuts in the past. I haven't looked in a while. Apparently, they need another tree for the chestnuts to germinate. Till that 21 out of the last 31 US elections, the tallest person was elected president. Why is the sample size 31? Do we not know the heights of the people in the previous elections? Explains why DeSantis wears lifts. He's really trying. Till that 11 out of the last 32 elections, the shortest person was elected president. And that's one of many reasons I never even tried to become president. Or a quarterback. Invader Zim had a point. Article is have Trump at 6 feet 3 inches. US politics is foolish. Why does Abraham Lincoln, the tallest president, not simply eat the other presidents? But did you know that between 2000 and 2009 the US per capita margarine consumption was directly correlated with the divorce rate in the state of Maine? Was FDR measured sitting? Good news for Fetterman if he decides to run for president. Lol. Till that if 2 pieces of similar metals touch in a vacuum, and if both pieces are perfectly flat and polished, they will indeed fuse to effectively make one new piece. This is called cold welding. This is one reason it's difficult to make moving parts for spacecraft. Move them enough and the oxidation will scrape off and you get metals. Spacecraft use multiple different types of metals for parts that move and make contact like hinges so they don't fuse like that. Till I need a cold welder. I have MIG, TIG, stick, acetylene. All of that is crap. How long would this take? Holy shit, I've asked like 3 professors if this would happen if you split an ingot and put the pieces back together. None have had an answer but Reddit delivers. Till that after large animals went extinct, such as the mammoth, avocados had no method of seed dispersal, which would have led to their extinction without early human farmers. Humans had a hand in the extinctions of large animals such as the giant ground sloth, so keeping the avocados going only seems fair. Stories like this always make me wonder about what plants we didn't save and ended up losing forever. Megafauna by definition weigh at least 100 pounds. Till humans are megafauna. Dodged a bullet there. I hate to think about a world without guacamole. Also, there goes Chipotle's profit margin. Every time I make avocado toast for my daughter I'd tell her about this. Can you imagine pooping one of these pits out? Used to eat avocados. Let's bring back the giant sloths. Till the only reason why Led Zeppelin didn't perform at Woodstock 1969 was because the band's manager, Peter Grant, decided that Led Zeppelin would be better off playing at the Asbury Park Convention Hall in New Jersey. As far as time spent and actually getting paid, it was probably a good call. Plus I bet Peter Grant would have nixed LZ being filmed. Some bands performed but didn't allow filming. Credence comes to mind. What an opportunity missed. They might have hit it big if they were at Woodstock. Neat. I currently live in Asbury, and Convention Hall is such a cool, historic building. Slightly falling apart, but incredible Art Deco architecture right on the beach. And they were never heard of again. Everyone knows that the only reason why Led Zeppelin is even known today is because Greta Van Fleet influenced their sound, which rocketed Led Zeppelin to stardom. 3 engineers were riding in a car, went down a hill, and crashed. I've heard this with "let us close windows and reopen them." In reality, the electrical engineer would blame the engine, and the mechanical engineer would blame the electrical engineer. When in doubt, reboot and try again. Let's put it in the backlog and start walking. At least not trying to reboot it back up the hill. Smiley face. First things first, turn it off and turn it back on again. We all just settled on potatoes being used to denote bad image quality. It actually started off as the image was taken with a potato camera, not the image itself was the potato. In my mind and probably nowhere else, I connected it to the grade school experiment where we would make a working flashlight using a potato as the battery. Early digital cameras were pretty shoddy things, and I connected they took this photo with a potato in the same spirit as, "Now, class, I'm going to turn out the lights, and we'll see if your potato flashlights work." It sort of works, but it's not anything anyone actually wants. I've always thought it related to the whole potato battery thing. Many moons ago on a social website that none can remember, a user once said that picture is as sharp as a potato, and thus the legend was born of the potato camera meme. Now propagated through time and told through song and maintained through Reddit. I always assumed it was a Portal reference. What is the quickest way you or someone you know has ever lost weight? I ate 800 calories and biked for 1-2 hours a day for 3 months my sophomore year of college. I lost 70 pounds, and by the end of it I was shitting black dust. I highly recommend finding a better method. Amputation probably. I went through a tough breakup and couldn't eat for a couple weeks, lost a lot of weight. Called it the breakup diet. Sometimes I'm too lazy to make dinner and just have sleep instead. Anorexia nervosa baby anyway, it sucked. 4 years ago I lost 11 pounds in 24 hours. I had a hysterectomy, went into surgery at 171 pounds, came out at exactly 160. I had polycystic ovaries, endometriosis and a massive fibroid tumor, all on top of having been born with a duodenal uterus each side with its own cervix. What kids movie made you think this is not for kids? All dogs go to heaven. Seriously, I watched that earlier this year and couldn't believe my parents let it as a kid. Watership Down, The Witches 1990, not the remake, Rango. The kids will enjoy it, but there is so many references to other movies in the film that only adults will understand. I think the filmmakers really made it for the parents. Labyrinth, The Dark Crystal, I love them but seem scary looking back now. When we went to see Deadpool in theaters, an older lady and 2 kids around 8-10 years old sat in front of us. About 5 minutes into the movie, one kid leans over and whispers, "Grandma, I don't think this movie is meant for kids." Soul is an exquisitely animated midlife crisis story. My kiddo then 9 and I tried to watch it while still pretty fresh from the grief of losing my husband. We just couldn't. What would you rather have, $10,000 or know who masturbated to you and why? I'd take the $10K over being given the answer no one. With $10,000 I could pay somebody to masturbate to me. I just assume everyone has. The money gonna pay my bills, knowing who fapped to me when I was 14 won't. I'll take the cash, don't care about the other information. Money, I really don't want to know who masturbated to me. There might be some of that list that would be pretty disgusting. I'm curious enough to turn down the $10,000. At first I was thinking this is a obvious pick, the money. X200B. But X200B. Would be nice to know who got off to me. When I find out no one has, can I still get 10K? I'll take the cash because the guy will probably tell me if he did. Imagine how gutted you'd be if the answer was nobody. Lol. The cash is useful, the info is not. What's your reason for not drinking alcohol? I didn't have a healthy relationship with alcohol. I drink to cure my boredom and help with social anxiety. I couldn't handle my alcohol and often drank too much. It got to the point where I was always somewhat buzzed. I finally realized back in 2021 that I needed to make a change. 2 years sober as of this July. I realized my drinking was getting out of control, so I quit. It doesn't appeal to me at all. I am an alcoholic. 24 years in recovery. Truly grateful. Let me be clear, I am not the real Elvin. It is only a username and I apologize if there was any confusion or embarrassment. Always want to be in control. Good or bad. Hangover kids, I'd rather just not. My tummy hurts and I'm mad at the government. I'm currently on some meds that don't play well with alcohol. I don't like what it does to people. What is something considered conventionally unattractive that you find hot as hell? When older women have graying hair. I think some carry the look very well. Looking unkempt and disheveled. both on men and women. Like long, messy hair, tired eyes, sweatpants and sports bra, a worn-out coat, a scraggly beard and a cigar. Read like they went through some shit is a fine line between looking like a gross slob and this, I guess, hobo chic or sleepy beauty look, though. Also, I'm totally biased in that it's only when people I already find relatively attractive do it. But it's a look most people seem to disapprove of in general. Not conventionally unattractive, just perhaps, nobody cares about it. A few years ago I visited the Louvre and in the Egyptian wing there was some skinny, bald and not really hot dude crouched on the floor, translating hieroglyphics through the display window onto a notebook. I thought that was super hot.